Hey gang, and welcome back to chapter 24 of the Crucible Chronicles, where we are continuing with my absolute favorite decks. Of course, there are 5 sets currently released for KeyForge, so each episode of this 5-part chapter, we're going to be exploring and catching a game with one of my favorite decks of that particular set. I'm not going to lie, y'all. I'm not going to lie. We're on AOA, and I think that AOA is the most difficult for me to select a deck in. Now, I just want to clarify, as you'll soon discover, it has nothing to do with the fact that there are a lot of preconceived notions about AOA and the strength of AOA. It's not a matter of me just not having decks that I like. The problem is I have too many decks that I like. So we're going to go through a little bit of my thought process here, because I've narrowed it down to 3 decks, which is saying something, because I only have 9 AOA decks. And I could only narrow it down to 3 of them at this point. And I think I've got one in mind, but 3 of them are in, like, basically tied in position for my favorite AOA deck. So let's hop on over. We're going to talk about actually all 3 of them, and we're only going to play with one of them. So here we go. This is, of course, 4-guy Kremenliev Ambermaker Oak. Those of y'all that are friends of the channel, the KeyForge pals of mine, you'll probably recognize this deck. It's probably, I don't know, I feel like maybe it's the closest thing that I've got to like a signature deck, despite the fact it doesn't see a whole lot of play these days. But this is, of course, an AOA deck. This deck is kind of cool. It's got a fun story in that it is the first sealed event I played in, and in fact the actual first, like, I guess OP event as well. So as you'll note, I didn't do particularly well in that event, but I set this deck aside because I think it was 2 decks sealed, and I picked up this deck, and I thought to myself, of the 2 options, this one seemed the most potent, despite having some obvious flaws. And the problem was I just could never get it to work during that event, unfortunately. So fast forward, I don't know, a half a year later, for some reason I decided to pick the deck back up. And I think actually I took it home after the initial event and played it for a little bit, but just could never get anything to work. And then kind of picked it up a couple months later, and then picked it up another couple months later. And eventually, after like a year, I feel like I started having a little more success and started to unlock the true potential of this deck. Yeah, it's this for those who have seen one of the 2 episodes of answering KeyForge questions you never asked. This is in the premiere episode of that particular series. This is the deck that I don't even remember what it was. You should go watch the video, but it can generate over 100 Ember in a single turn, given, of course, you know, lab circumstances and the perfect scenario. This is also a deck that made a successful showing, if I do recall. A successful showing in the chapter of the Crucible Chronicles where we went for the 1-turn kill, the OTK. And this deck actually can do it, if I recall correctly. Again, perfect situation. It can perform the OTK with having started a turn with no Ember, which is pretty cool. A pretty cool thing. And it, of course, does it all on the back of KeyCharge, and Helper Rod, basically. So a really cool deck. You know, a couple things that stand out probably is the triple Sutterkin, which has the Reap ability, draw a card for each friendly Logos creature. Obviously very potent in and of itself. 3 of them particularly potent. And on top of that, we actually have, I think it's 9 Logos creatures. So, you know, ideal situation here. If you've got those triple Sutterkins and potentially the Replicator down, you can draw 36 cards, which is how the chain, the combo works to do the OTK and also that insane, like, 100 Ember plus turn. Of course, also it's Replicator. I alluded to that, which allows you to copy the Reap effect from a Sutterkin, which is pretty handy, and double Titan Librarian, so you got some nice archiving if you can keep those alive. And the deck just kind of moves pretty quick once it gets initiated and on the board. I would say probably the most important card in this deck, at least in terms of how I play the deck, has got to be the Soul Snatcher. So of course this is a dis artifact. Each time a creature is destroyed, its owner gains 1. It's a really, really critical card for this deck to get out early, because these Sutterkins are going to come out and they're going to get killed. And you just want to be able to get some value for them. Now, the deck also has some ways to kind of set up a board of Sutterkins. You can like Helper Bot, Hysteria, and then throw out all the Sutterkins to basically an empty board. You can do that. You've also got an Exhume and Not Finished With You. So you can kind of pull back the Sutterkins once or twice, depending on the situation. Anyways, a really, really cool deck. Very incredibly fragile, though. Again, if it can't get the Soul Snatcher out and there's sufficient creature control, the deck sort of flails. The other key problem is I basically treat the deck as having no Ember control. It has a single Lash of Broken Dreams. But realistically, if this deck is having to use the Lash of Broken Dreams, it's already in a rough spot. I mean, like, maybe as a matter of complete chance or convenience, it's like, oh, I'm already calling Dis and I can tax them to 9 or prevent them from forging the key. Then, like, sure, you use the Lash, but generally it's not going to be critical to the game plan. Anyway, so this is kind of the first one that came to mind, and last week when I was recording the first part of this chapter, I was like, yeah, I'll just play 4 guys. That's just what I do, right? That's the deck to play. But then I actually took a look at my my AOA list, because I knew kind of in the back of my mind there were some other ones I wanted to look at. So the second deck, and this is actually, I think, the newest, February 2021. So almost, not 2 years, but, a year and a half or so later, opened the Blazing Poet. I think there's some crazy Amazon deal. And this is effectively one of, I think, 2 decks. Actually, maybe I might have still three decks from that Amazon sale that I've held on to. But this deck, I think, is just like, it's just like pretty good. It's like pretty good. It's pretty cool. It doesn't have everything, but it's got a lot of cool stuff. This is one of the reasons this is in my collection is because it has Pile of Skulls. So each time an enemy creature is destroyed during your turn, a friendly creature captures 1. So that's pretty good. Got the Drummernaut, unfortunately no Gengar Chieftain, but we've also got like an Ogopogo. So you can like sort of potentially in a pinch, this Pile of Skulls can be helpful, although admittedly it isn't generally going to be like a long-term solution, because you can't do anything with that Ember otherwise. However, we have a lot of great options in Shadows, and I think honestly the Shadows is like Shadows and Untamed sort of gives this deck a lot of utility. We've got well, first of all, we have Bren the Fanatic, and we have a double Life for Life, so great synergy there, allowing in Shadows to play Bren and immediately capitalize on the destroyed effect, which is perfect. I mean, you get Ember control out of it, and you get creature control by being able to deal 6 damage to an opposing creature. We've also got the legend Ronnie Wristclock, some more Ember control, double Dust Chronicles, so gives a little bit of speed for drawing cards and archiving cards. And I think we got like a decent amount of Ember generation in this house. So we've got, I guess Throwing Stars doesn't have. We have Treasure Map, which potentially can be a good amount of Ember, a solid 4 Ember in the right situation. But outside of that, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ember on the cards, not including anything like Brend, Ronnie Wristclocks as well. And then we got this Untamed, which I think is just like also pretty decent. For a pretty decent Untamed, certainly for AOA, we've got stuff you'd like to see. We've got Nature's Call. This actually has the Glim Lock, the soft lock with Glimmer, allowing you to pick up your Nature's Call with the Glimmer and then use Nature's Call to grab the Glimmer back and stuff 2 of your opponent's creatures back into their hand. So it's kind of cool. Another cool little synergy there. We've got Glimmer and Regrowth to recur some stuff, potentially bring back the Brend to try and get some value out of that. And obviously that's, out of house, different in Shadows, but, with the second Life for Life coming down the pipe, it's like pretty nice for that. I think I mentioned the key shards, so some good utility there. And of course we have Mimicry, probably just one of the greatest cards in the game. and just allows so many options to be able to pick the best thing from your opponent's deck that they played, and be able to use that, or just something very situational that you need. So maybe if this deck is lacking, it's got a Rustnar, but that's not necessarily super reliable for artifact control. If your opponent's got artifact control, you can use it on them, or a board wipe or something like that, because I think we are missing a board wipe. Stuff either needs to be fought off the board, or stunned, or potentially like killed one at a time for the most part. But yeah, this is the Blazing Poet. This is the deck of the three I'm going to be talking about today. It's the one that I had the least experience with. But every time I play it, it's just like, man, this deck is just, it's nice. It's good. It's fun to play. It has some interesting decisions, some interesting recursions, some solid Ember control. I didn't even mention the burn the stockpile as well. But I think it's a type of deck that has a relatively proactive strategy in terms of generating Ember. Maybe not so much, compared to like an actual rush deck or something like that. But it can definitely do some work, which I'm a fan about. So that's the Blazing Poet. That's deck number 2. Deck number 3, Nebula the Chaotically Destructive. This is one I've had for a little bit longer. It's Dis Mars Shadows. I feel like at first look, and actually at first play and a couple of plays, there are definitely some bad pennies, if you will, in this deck. Which is to say, we have one bad penny and a couple of Lamindras. There's definitely some cards in this deck that are kind of like, all right, well, those aren't great. Those aren't great. Those like objectively aren't very great cards, especially in this situation. But it has some cool oddities to it. It is, of course, chaotically destructive. We've got the double unlocked gateway. We've got some various other damage. Destroy them all, which isn't widespread, but great utility. We've got double Flotsam Spike, which paired with something like a Hysteria is actually like pretty nice. It is also like a pretty awkward deck to play. So I think that actually makes it maybe okay, maybe all right for like more of an adaptive type gameplay. But we really can't just gloss over the fact that it has double Merkins, because honestly, that's the maximum fun. I think I've said this on stream before, but I think Wild Wormhole is the most fun. I honestly think maybe Merkins is potentially even more fun. Is actually, in my mind, undoubtedly more fun than playing Wild Wormhole. To clarify, I find Wild Wormhole very fun to play. So they're both really up there. Whatever the S plus tier fun cards, Merkins and Wild Wormhole definitely fit that bill. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, it just kind of kills a lot of stuff. You get to play a lot of your opponent's cards, which is fun. And it has some kind of like weird rares. We got like this Pit Lord, which can absolutely cause trouble. We got Guard Disguise, which is also one that doesn't see a whole lot of play generally. We got the Brainstem Antenna rather, with like a couple decent targets, but generally Uxlix the Zookeeper is a great one to try and hit with this Brainstem antenna. I can't talk. It even has the Sky Booster Squadron synergy with it as well. So I gotta say, it has been a challenge, and I realize that we're already 13 minutes into the video, so I apologize for that, but I really did want to like talk through a couple of these decks. It's been really difficult to pick, and I even was tempted to just like not record the video tonight and tweet out and be like, please pick this deck for me. But this is what I've come up with. I have made a decision, and I feel like I want to give a little bit of context. We're not going to be playing 4-Guy today. I know that's going to be a big surprise to some, even to myself, if I'm being honest. But there's a reason behind that. First of all, we've seen it quite a bit on the channel over in the past. And second of all, it has Logos in it. And I'm like, Mass Mutation I already have picked. In the two options that I have for Worlds Collide, both have Logos. And because Logos was in the Coda one, I'm part of me is just like, let's pick one that doesn't have Logos. So obviously that brings us to the Blazing Poet and Nebula the Chaotically Destructive. And both of these decks are great. Both of them are fun. But we're all about fun on this channel, right? You know, like I'm not about winning the games, although it's nice to sometimes win some games. But we're about fun, and the double Merkins is where it's at. We're going to Merkins the bejeezies out of our opponent. Hopefully we can get the double Merkins, we can Hysteria, get more Merkins. We're just going to try to play more of our opponent's deck than my deck. And that is the goal. And that is why we're going to be going with AOA, Nebula, the Chaotically Destructive. After all that, after 15 minutes of video, it's going to be a long video, but I hope it's worth it. Let's hop on over to the game. Here we go. Got ourselves a game playing against a deck. I will not attempt to pronounce that. I do not know. I do not know what it is. We got some Worlds Collide, so I know that much. Logosorian, a potent combo. Double Library of the Darned. We've got the triple Golden Spiral. Oh my gosh. How many artifacts are in this deck? We got 3 Golden Spirals. We've got Memory Chip. Yeah, Memory Chip's in there. We got double Library. We got Obsidian Forge. So that's what, 7? That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Fortunately, we have at least some options in terms of destroying stuff. Oh, what to do here? What to do here? Yeah, let's keep our hand. Honestly, like, getting library is pretty good. I'll take it. Getting a library down on the board is pretty all right. I'll take it. Library v library. I like it. All right. Well, let's see. That is, they played their own library. Not finished with you. Double not finished with you, and a festering touch. Good news is that's both their not finished with yous. So we can take a dis turn, which could be pretty good. They haven't actually played anything onto the board yet. Might be nice to have this unlocked gateway stored away, but let's actually take a Mars turn. I think we'll throw down the invasion portal and just get some creatures out on the board. Oh, we already found our Merkins. Praise be. Praise be. I love it. Now, what are we going to do here? I really don't. Ooh, Garen has joined. We got 2 spectators going on. All right, I'll take this. We could like, yeah, honestly, like, Mars is pretty decent. Let's do that. We'll take a Mars turn. I normally like to hold on to this brainstem for longer. But let's invasion portal, see what we get. We get Agent Human. So what we'll do is we'll throw down the brainstem onto Mind Warper, action some Ember. We'll go ahead and reap here. Throw that out. Action some Ember. Go ahead and throw that out. Action some Ember. Go ahead and do that. And just reap. Hey, I mean, we take that. That's pretty good. The Golden Spiral. Initiate Golden Spiral. Imperium. Okay. All right, we could take that. I mean, they have the, they do have a graft though, don't they? Also, what did we discard? Bummer, Poltergeist. And the Red Planet Ray Gun. That actually would have been pretty handy right now. That would have been pretty handy right now. It's okay. We'll take a Mars turn. Each human creature. Neither of these are human. We can just keep moving through our deck. Guess we just do that. Invasion portal to get Uxlix. We'll go ahead and reap. Reap. Stunning. That. Reap. Play that out. Reap. Reap. Flotsam Spike. I mean, if they graft us, it's fine. They can graft us. Got another Flotsam Spike. Hey, you know, if you only play Mars, that's all. This is honestly not a way that I usually play this deck, but that's okay. That's usually not how this deck gets played. Glory be to Mars, as they say. Rightfully so. Let's also take a look at what we pieced on through. Destroy them all. Also a bummer. Would have loved to have had that, but such is the price. Such is the price of the invasion portal. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Mars creatures out. I feel like we're running low. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6. So we could mill our deck. Yeah, that seems like probably a pretty good idea. Hit us with the Infernus. Good news for them is there's a lot of stuff there. Fortunately, not. Does this have a Hysteria or anything? Does not. I think we might get away with a key here. I do think we will. And we will once again. We will once again call Mars. The question is, in which way do we want to do this? Well, I think we Flotsam Spike. We'll Invasion Portal. Just move right on through. Can we just Reap here? Reap. Let's think this through. We'll Reap, so we will end up with 6. Stun that. Let's Reap there. Action some more Ember onto that. Reap. And Reap again. Oh, we got a Red Planet Ray Gun. So I wanted to pop the ward on this Titan Librarian. They got the Golden Spiral. See what they decide to do about that. Theros Centurion. They only have one of them down, though. Flophosaurus. Ah, yes. But of course, using the Flophosaurus. What's we got? Got like the Redder Gallum. I do need to really need to watch out for the graft. Red Planet Ray Gun. Might as well toss that onto the Mind Warper. And this is a Reap ability, isn't it? So how do we want this to work? Bummer. Skyblue Squadron is also a Reap ability. So we might as well use this action. Agent Human is also a Reap. And all these Reap abilities. I have 11 cards left to draw. So we'll capture some more Ember there. Go ahead and Reap. Let's pick up that. Listen, honestly, at this point, I can kill this Imp Spectre. But honestly, let's just do that. If they graft us, they graft us. It's fine. If they graft us, we have 6 Ember sitting on a Titan Guardian. So, this is going to be sort of depressing if I don't play a single Merkins, actually. Ah, they do have the evil eye. Nice. Nice. Well played. Draining touch to kill the Mind Warper. Well done. And purges the guard disguise. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. All right, so we're still at check. We're still at check. Yeah, I mean, I don't really want them to call Saurian again. But I do want to play Americans. Currently, let's see. Oh, with the golden spirals, they could take us off check. No. 1, 2, 3. So they could. Could with Saurian. So I don't like that. So I'll just take a Mars turn. We'll go ahead and... No, we're not going to pick up our archives. We'll go ahead and fight there. Go ahead and... Reap there. Reap there. Sure. At 11. Graft us. Hit us with the graft. It's all good. It only works once. Oh, we got the Pit Lord and the Unlocked Gateway. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I feel like Agent Human is doing a lot of work against these spirals. So you effectively, I mean, our opponent can like get some good value out of Shrix, and we're probably not going to do anything about it. Like I suppose that could have been reason to Uxlix the Shrix to at least pop the ward, but I don't know. It's tough. It's tough, which means it's been a pretty straightforward game. All right, so they've got the golden spiral, triple golden spiral out on the board. Plays Axiom. Hey, works for me. Oh, and the ward on Axiom is pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it? It is pretty good. What can I say? We will forge this key, and we're going to collect a bunch of other embers, so I'm still okay. We're not going to pick up our archives, although we could. Give them a Thera Centurion. No. Maybe if I had gotten like different houses or something, I would have felt a little bit better about doing that. Let's use library with this Merkins. I think we discard this old Yerk because I don't really want to I mean, Binding Irons seems like it could be good. They already have some chains, so we'll discard that. We'll play Binding Irons, play Pit Lord, and then Unlocked Gateway. So our opponent will be able to forge a key here. But we do have the Ronnie. Ronnie is sitting here. We got Merkins. We got one in the archives as well. Could be nice. Could be nice. They're calling Saurian. Oh, interesting. So they probably have the Redder Gallum. Excuse me. Oh man, something in my throat. What would I hope to get? They're going to draw 5, so it'll be one thing left. Oh no, they don't draw that much. They do not draw that much. Okay, well, we're going to call Shadows for sure. Pick up our archives. It seems like that could be bad, actually. What else could I get here? Could get their like obsidian forge or something. Could graft. Kind of fun. I do have something in their archives though, right? So I could also take stuff from the archives. What haven't we seen that we might like? And what have they been archiving with? Library. So it feels like if they've been archiving their logos, then I don't know. I mean, I could like graft them, but it's also not amazing. I don't really want to give them the 2 cards that are in my archives, so unfortunately that means we got 1 Merkins. Excuse me. Glad Merkins. Random card from the archives. I just feel like there's nothing super of value in their archives right now. Otherwise, they probably would have played it. So let's just do top of the deck. All right, well. Okay, then. That is incredible. So we just Merkins into Wild Wormhole into Unlocked Gateway. We're just going to go give that a whelp. That worked better than I was expecting. I guess I should have played Ronnie first. I don't know why I didn't, because even if I hit graft, I wouldn't have taken the Ember until afterwards. Oh man, wow. Whew. What an incredible match. I'm so pleased that we got to play 1 Merkins to absolutely slam the door on this game, because oh man. That's too fun. I don't really know if we had any place winning this matchup, I'm going to be perfectly frank with y'all. Had we not just only, drawn Mars cards to start and then invasion portaled into Oblivion, I think probably if we play this matchup a couple times, Nebula maybe doesn't do so well. But there isn't a huge amount of warding in this in our opponent's deck, so like maybe who knows. But regardless, Merkins was on our side. Praise be to Merkins. Thank you to the Wild Wormhole. I just realized that we were talking about this in the beginning. Merkins, I think, is the most fun card to play. The second most fun card to play is Wild Wormhole. So we just had like the peak fun experience in KeyForge, Merkinsing into Wild Wormhole into completely closing out the game. Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. Anyways, I don't really know what else to say. I think I should probably just shut down the channel at this point. I don't think we're going to do any better than that. Leave it to AOA. That's all I got to say. AOA. It's amazing. All right. Well, thank you all for checking out this slightly lengthy video. The good news is if you made it this long, you got to see the absolute zany ending to this. So I appreciate you, and I will see you all later this week.